The Taiping Rebellion, 1850 to 1864, was one of the deadliest conflicts in human history, a cataclysmic civil war that ravaged China, claiming an estimated 20 to 30 million lives. It was a complex struggle fueled by social unrest, religious fanaticism, and political upheaval. At its heart was a charismatic yet controversial leader, Xiuquan, who believed himself to be the younger brother of Jesus Christ. The rebellion threatened the ruling Qing Dynasty, brought vast regions of China under its control, and ultimately left an indelible mark on Chinese history. Beyond its staggering human cost, the rebellion reshaped China's political and social landscape, leaving deep scars that would influence subsequent revolutions and reforms. It was not just a military conflict, but also an ideological battle over the future of China. The mid-19th century was a time of immense hardship for China. The ruling Qing Dynasty, led by the Manchu elite, had long been plagued by internal corruption, economic distress, and external humiliations. The Opium Wars, 1839 to 1842, 1856 to 1860, with Britain had weakened China, forcing it into unfavorable treaties and draining its resources. Meanwhile, population growth had outpaced agricultural production, leading to widespread famine and discontent among the peasantry. Heavy taxation, government inefficiency, and ethnic tensions further exacerbated the suffering of the common people. The Qing Dynasty was also weakened by internal strife and political fragmentation. The ruling elite were often disconnected from the concerns of the Han Chinese majority, leading to widespread resentment. Banditry, secret societies, and small-scale uprisings were common throughout the country, signaling deep instability within the empire. It was in this environment of despair that Xiuquan emerged, preaching a radical new vision for China, one that would challenge both the political and spiritual order of the Qing Dynasty. Xiuquan was born in 1814 in Guangdong Province to a poor but educated Hakka family. A failed scholar who repeatedly attempted and failed the imperial examinations, Hong experienced a religious revelation in the 1830s after reading Christian missionary tracts. He came to believe that he was the younger brother of Jesus Christ, sent to Earth to rid China of demons, which he interpreted as the ruling Qing Dynasty and their Confucian order. In 1844, Hong and his followers, known as the God-worshipping Society, began amassing a substantial following among disillusioned peasants, miners, and ethnic minorities. They preached a blend of Christianity, anti-Confucianism, and communal economic policies. Their doctrines rejected traditional Chinese customs, advocating for gender equality, land redistribution, and the abolition of foot binding and opium smoking. By 1850, the movement had grown into an armed rebellion, directly challenging Qing authority. The flames of civil war were ignited. In 1851, Hong declared the establishment of the Taiping Heavenly Kingdom, proclaiming himself as the Heavenly King and launching a full-scale rebellion against the Qing Dynasty. His forces, known as the Taipings, quickly gained ground, capturing vast territories across southern and central China. Unlike the traditional imperial army, the Taiping forces were highly disciplined and ideologically driven. They banned opium, alcohol, and prostitution, enforced strict religious observances, and promoted an egalitarian social structure. In 1853, the Taiping army achieved a stunning victory by capturing Nanjing, which they declared their capital, renaming it Tianjin, Heavenly Capital. At its peak, the Taiping Heavenly Kingdom ruled over millions of people and controlled large portions of China, posing the most significant threat to Qing rule in centuries. The Taiping government implemented sweeping reforms, including land redistribution programs, communal wealth sharing, and the promotion of literacy and education. Women were given more rights compared to traditional Chinese society, with some even taking up leadership roles in the Taiping army. However, despite these progressive policies, the regime was marred by internal strife, rigid religious doctrines, and harsh authoritarian rule. As the Taiping movement grew, its armies continued to expand their reach. The Taiping forces attempted to march northward toward Beijing in 1853, hoping to capture the imperial capital and overthrow the Qing government. However, their advance was halted by well-entrenched Qing forces, and logistical challenges forced them to retreat. Despite this setback, the Taipings found success in other regions. In central China, they established strongholds in provinces such as Jiangxi, Hubei, and Hunan. They also launched an ambitious campaign into Anhui and Zhejiang, capturing key cities and challenging the Qing government's control over the Yangtze River basin. One of the key factors that allowed the Taiping to maintain control was their ability to mobilize a large and disciplined fighting force. Unlike the traditional Qing armies, which relied on aristocratic officers and poorly trained conscripts, the Taiping military operated with a strict command structure. Their soldiers were motivated by religious zeal, and their officers were often promoted based on merit rather than noble birth. Initially, the Qing dynasty struggled to counter the Taiping threat. Corruption and incompetence hampered the imperial military, allowing the rebellion to spread unchecked. However, as the Taipings became increasingly authoritarian and radical, they began to lose support. Internal conflicts among their leaders, including power struggles between Xiuquan and his generals, weakened their unity. Foreign powers, including Britain and France, initially viewed the Taipings with curiosity as they espoused Christian beliefs. However, after witnessing the movement's radical social policies and anti-foreign stance, they ultimately sided with the Qing government. Foreign troops and advisors, including Western-trained Chinese forces such as the ever-victorious army, led by Western officers like Frederick Townsend Ward and later Charles Gordon, played a crucial role in crushing the rebellion. The Taipings also faced challenges from regional Qing forces led by skillful generals such as Zheng Guofan, Li Hongzhang, and Zhuo Zongtang, who adopted Western military strategies and modernized their armies. These regional armies became more effective than the traditional Qing forces and played a decisive role in suppressing the rebellion. By the early 1860s, the Qing Dynasty, with the aid of regional warlords and Western allies, launched a series of successful counteroffensives. Zheng Guofan's Hunan army, a well-trained and disciplined force, steadily recaptured lost territory. The turning point came in 1864 when Qing forces, backed by Western allies, besieged Nanjing. As defeat loomed, Xiuquan reportedly succumbed to illness, possibly poisoning, before the final Qing assault. His successor, Hong Tianguifu, was incapable of leading a defense, and Nanjing fell in July 1864. Qing troops massacred tens of thousands of Taiping followers in the aftermath, bringing an end to the Taiping Heavenly Kingdom. Even after Nanjing's fall, remnants of the Taiping forces continued guerrilla warfare in remote regions, but they were systematically hunted down. The final Taiping strongholds were eradicated by 1868, marking the ultimate suppression of the rebellion. The Taiping Rebellion was more than just a civil war. It was a radical attempt to reshape Chinese society. Led by a man who claimed divine authority, it upended centuries of tradition and brought China to the brink of collapse. Though ultimately unsuccessful, it set the stage for the political and social upheavals that would define China's future. The rebellion serves as a powerful reminder of the destructive force of ideology, the dangers of unchecked fanaticism, and the enduring struggle for justice and reform in China's long history.